What's up, everyone? Before we get to today's show, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content like we have here today. On this episode, we have filmmaker, instructor, and BJJ Black Belt, Stuart Cooper. Stuart took a major injury that could have been a huge setback and turned it into a career that has taken him across the globe. When Stuart severely injured his arm, he began filming training sessions, which over a relatively short period of time turned into Stuart Cooper Films, films which are some of the most well-regarded films in the jiu-jitsu world. Listen as Stuart shares his journey that led him to instructing at some of the best academies in Thailand, Singapore, and Canada, and how Stuart Cooper Films got its start and grew into the success it is today, and his personal struggles that almost took it all away. Here's the RŌL Radio with artist, entrepreneur, BJJ Black Belt, and head jiu-jitsu instructor at Diaz Combat Sports, Stuart Cooper.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we're live. Gary, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm nervous. I'm running the board for the first time. I did, unlike you, though, I did hit record. I can see it's lit up from here.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if it works.
It'll work. Everything's going to come out fine. I'll fix it in post if I have to. I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But before we get to today's guest, therolradio.com. Go there. Drop us a question for a guest or for us. You are automatically put into a pool to win a free Fuji gi. We only do 4 or 5 episodes at the most a month. So the chances of you are winning are very, very high. And we clean that slate every month. So your chances are great, right? Fuji's got great stuff. TheRolRadio.com. Drop us a question. And,
I've noticed there's been patterns. There's one specific individual who's been dropping questions left and right.
Yes. There's a guy named Jim that's...
Jim, whoever you are, shout out to you.
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to limit those questions, but
it's all good.
Jim, listen today. That's all I have to say. It's funny. It's coincidence that we're talking about this, but Jim, listen to the whole episode.
Oh, boy. There it is. There's a hint.
All right. Are we ready?
We are ready. Let's talk to our guest. Stuart, how are you, sir? Stuart Cooper in the house. You are such a unique personality, I think. A lot of people know you, not necessarily from jiu-jitsu, but from the films that you've made over the years.
Yeah, it's films over the years.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, and you might not know this, but probably 8 years ago or so, and I come from a photography and film background as well, but I had a little thing going on the side, and I always look up to you. We've made some documentaries within jiu-jitsu community as well, but I always looked up to you as the guy who kind of owns the domain, the guy who really does this, at the highest level that can be. How did this all come around? Where did you start with film?
I think it was a lot of things just fell into place at the right time. I actually went to university and I did have an interest in film. When I was at school, I was never good at maths, physics, or chemistry. I was always very good at anything like sport or anything to do with arts. So I ended up going to art college, and then I was kind of struggling, thinking, what am I going to do later in life? Maybe become an art teacher or an artist. And so then I thought about maybe going into filmmaking. So I actually went to university and did a degree. It was something called content creation for broadcast media, but it was very theory based and it wasn't very hands-on at all. So we didn't, at the university I went to, we didn't really make any films at all. So it actually put me off the whole filmmaking. But when I left university, I actually, I was struggling getting a job. It was 2009. It's when the recession just first hit. And I was just for something to do, I just picked up jiu-jitsu, started training full time. And after 2 years into my jiu-jitsu journey, I actually dislocated my left arm here. There's actually a little bit of a scar there where I had surgery. So I was out for 1 year, couldn't train jiu-jitsu, I couldn't work. So I just picked up a video camera and started filming my friends training and all my teammates going to competitions, and then just started messing around with Final Cut Pro and making little jiu-jitsu highlights. And that's just how it all began, really. That was my first kind of hands-on filmmaking experience.
How did this all convert into such a huge passion? I mean, at this point, you know, Stuart Cooper Films, has a pretty good footprint when it comes to jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, forget about the following and all this, but it's pretty known brand at this point. At which point did this pivot from this, you know, I'll just hang it out and film guys on the mat to really becoming something big? So
what happened was I ended up doing a few of these like little highlights for local tournaments, and then all the local tournaments, the promoter was called Jason Tan. He actually fought in the UFC a couple of times. He actually ended up hiring me, like paying me £300 to make a proper highlight for some of his future grappling tournaments. And he was very well connected with people like Braulio Estima and Roger Gracie in the UK. So he actually planted the idea in my head. He's like, hey, why don't Braulio Estima is preparing for ADCC. Have you thought about maybe like doing something more than highlight videos? Maybe we should go there, interview him, film his training. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm up for that. It sounds fun. And then it just kind of went from there. I met Braulio Estima, became friends with him, and I made the very first like Road to ADCC like documentary series. And that was back in 2011. And after that, I made the ADCC 2011 highlight, and that was pretty much it. It was just like a domino effect from there, so I just rolled with it. Once I made that ADCC highlight, it just went viral. I put my name in it, so my name got out there, and I got an invite to go out to Brazil and stay at Connection Rio in Barra Tijuca, Rio de Janeiro. And I met a guy called Dennis Ash, and he put me in contact with like Rafael dos Anjos, Kira Gracie, Husam Harris, and basically took me to all these different locations to film with them, do interviews, and make little short films. So it was like, I was encouraged by other people. A lot of people helped me along the way. And it just kind of, it was, at this time, YouTube was getting popular, Facebook was getting popular. So Instagram wasn't even going in 2011. I think it was 2012 when Instagram started. So, you know, jiu-jitsu was getting bigger, social media was getting bigger. So it was all like, right place at the right time, you know. I was like kind of one of the first people. The only other Budo videos were doing like the live stream back in the day, but they weren't doing like short films, you know, like artistic kind of jiu-jitsu videos. So I was like one of the first people to do it.
Yeah, it seems like that creativity of yours, you know, from a visual perspective, lighting, angles, you know, all that, and post-production all together, wrapped it together, create a very unique product, which really stood out in addition to that growth that sport and all these platforms that you talk about were essentially exploding at that time.
Yeah, I think that came from, definitely come from my art background. Just like I said, the only thing I was good at school was like, I was very good. I actually look back at some of my old drawings and my old paintings. Like I can't do it now. It's been so long since I've actually like painted anything, but they're pretty impressive. So I think I've just got that eye, the artistic eye that just comes naturally to me. But like I said, I was never academic. I was not good at numbers and, you know, business side of things. That, like, you know, I have a hard time booking a flight. My brain doesn't work that way.
So what I'm understanding is that the artistic part of your life was first before jiu-jitsu. Is that correct?
It was, yeah. So
how did you
I always had an interest in film as well.
How did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Actually, I was at university and The Ultimate Fighter came on TV. And I think it was Ultimate Fighter Season 5. And I really enjoyed watching the like reality show. And I've always been into, at the time I was into like weightlifting. I just got into marathon running. So I was always, you know, I kind of have to do exercise. It just calms me down. If I don't exercise, I get too fidgety. So I saw the UFC. I was like, I really want to try this. This looks kind of fun. And I went down to my first MMA lesson. I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere at some small gym in London. But I kept getting taken down by people half my size, and they were arm barring me, putting me triangle chokes. Didn't even know what this was. And I asked them, hey, what's this stuff on the ground? Because it seemed more fun to me, more effective. And they said, this jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, right, I just want to do this ground stuff. I don't want to do MMA, just jiu-jitsu. And that's how it began. I just got hooked in it immediately. Because, you know, it's exercise, but you can also be creative, like tying, you know, one move to another move, like create your own pathways, your own sequences. And it just really, I I still, every day, like jiu-jitsu is more fun to me today than it was back then.
And you kind of answer my next question, but I'm really wondering if that creative mind of yours that you talk about in art and film and photography in general, you know, how that bleeds into jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is form of art. I mean, many do consider it more of an art
really is,
than a fighting style, grappling style, right? There's a lot of room for creativity. Let us into your brain. Like, how is this unfold for somebody who's really creative?
So like we all learn like the same techniques, don't we? We all learn like, you know, all the different positions, all the different sweeps. But I think what's unique to everybody is how we all tie the different sweeps to guard passes, you know, according to our own body types. So we all create our own pathways. So yeah, it's like everyone's style is unique to them and to their body type.
What was the unique part for you?
Sorry, 1 second. My phone just went off. I need to turn my emails off. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. What was the question?
So, tell me how creative was this in your mind? Did you find this very mind stimulating, or was this more of a physical aspect for you when you're starting jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, at first it was just more physical. I just like to go in there and just like try and grab people and just try and choke them. But as time's gone on, I've really, come to appreciate, you know, how creative you can be with jiu-jitsu, you know?
Do you think there's limit to jiu-jitsu?
No. I mean, there's no end to jiu-jitsu. It's like, there's not a single person on the planet that can say they've mastered jiu-jitsu. You know, it's just going to keep on evolving. It's going to keep doing full circle, you know, all the different techniques. It's pretty incredible how, like, if you look at jiu-jitsu now, compared to like just 2015, like the skill level is just incredible. You can take some of the athletes today, put them in ADCC 2015, you know, and they would do very well.
I'm sure. When you for me, and I think a lot of people, when they first start jiu-jitsu, it's all about the steps and the moves. At what point did you start stringing this together and becoming creative? Because I know even where I'm at today, I'm barely doing that. And, you know, I think it's really hard for people to get to that point. Where were you in your journey when that started happening?
Yeah, I think you definitely start like forming your own style when you're around purple belt. But I think, really the journey starts when you get to black belt. It's like black belt is just the beginning, really. It's like, it just keeps on going. It's almost like you should have more belts. You know, you should have belts within the black belt.
Do you think that should be the case? There's like a very politically incorrect question right now. We're going to piss off half of the population, jiu-jitsu population right now. But there are some conversations have been for many years about adding more belts into jiu-jitsu, particularly that blue belt is being, you know, viewed as a bit contrast or conflict kind of belt, a very long belt, difficult for many people. People quit. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I think the standards of belts have changed, I think. I mean, when I got my black belt 2015, honestly, that's like a decent, in terms of the technique I knew, that's like a purple belt of today's standards, I think. You know, so it's just it's pretty crazy how it's changed. Why
do you think that happens? Why do you think?
I think Gordon Ryan, John Danaher have got a lot to do with it. You know, so I think it's going to be hard. You're going to have to know a lot more technique in modern day, like to get your black belt. You're going to have to know all the leg entanglements, or just all the new systems that have been created that Danaher has put out there.
Do you think that's good or bad for jiu-jitsu?
No, I think it's good. I think it's great. You know.
Do you think people will step up to that and move into that, or do you think it's going to start weeding people out?
I think I will do a bit of both. I think some people might come and think, oh, this is like a little bit too complicated. You know, this is way more technical than I thought. But no, I think it's a good thing.
In the long run, essentially, what you're saying is that the overall comprehension of jiu-jitsu just continues growing and evolving, and in order to achieve that black belt level, you will have to, you know, follow that. But what about guys like you and I? We've been on the mat for many, many, many years. We got our black belts way, way, way back. What happens to us?
We have to continue to evolve. You know, we have to like keep an eye. It's like if I literally turned my back in jiu-jitsu, like I just kind of didn't really watch what's going online. I didn't watch what the best guys are doing, like Gordon Ryan, Craig Jones. I wasn't studying all the new instructionals that are out now on like BJJ Fanatics. So I just looked away, turned back. The sport's changed so much. I think it's important to stay involved in the sport. I think there's going to be a lot of black belts that could get left behind if they don't stay on top. Of all the new systems. Yeah, there's new ways of learning. We 2015 we had some instructionals, but not like it is today. It's like you've got the best guys sharing their whole techniques now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you look even farther back, I mean, I remember we've talked about this many times, but I remember there was one book. That's it, period. Forget about videos.
Yeah, I actually remember. Yeah, I had a BJ Penn book and Eddie Bravo's book. And I just go through that. That's how when I went to jiu-jitsu for the first time, I actually bought a book and just learned a butterfly sweep. And I went there just like trying to remember this one sweep.
How'd that work out?
That's how I learned to begin with. I actually remember going to my first lesson. I actually pulled it off.
Nice.
And then they thought like I'd trained before and I actually hadn't, but I'd just been studying. It's like, right, you put your foot underneath the knee, you grab the tricep, and then you get the underhook, and then sweep them. And it kind of worked. But then after that, I got smashed.
The beautiful old days of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But listen, let's talk about that for a little, because that's an interesting pivot to the conversation. Today we have all these tools. We can get these instructional literally on our phone, pull it up anywhere, in a park, on a train, and anywhere. It doesn't matter. As long as you have connectivity, you can pull them off. But, way back in the day, one, the information wasn't as accessible. Two, the jiu-jitsu wasn't as evolved as it is today. But three, the way how we were learning, there was a lot of room for interpretation. Meaning if you look at 10 pictures, you had to fill in the blanks. Today, you can pause, rewind, and really everything is presented to you. Do you think this evolution of media, do you think that is building the sport, or is making it it's hindering it in a way, because that creativity part is not so, it's not so inspired anymore? Back in the day, we had to really drill things thousands of times and figure stuff out on our own. Today, everything is just given to everybody on a silver platter.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It is just given to you, but you still have to, you have to get to a certain level, I think, to really, just be able to watch something. Like just yesterday, I was like, I'm now able, because I've been a black belt for a few years, and they're able to watch a technique video and pretty much go to the gym and try it right away, because I just understand jiu-jitsu. My body knows how to move now in terms of jiu-jitsu. But so what's the question?
I ask very elaborate,
very long-winded.
It's like by the time I get to the end of it, nobody knows what I asked. It essentially, and my thought is, you coming from a creative background, do you think that this media formats that we have available, is it hurting or is it benefiting jiu-jitsu overall?
I think it's benefiting. But at the same time, you look at something I was thinking about the other day, like look at what Lachlan Zhao was in ADCC. We thought we'd seen all the leg entries, from inside position, but he came into ADCC from using outside De La Riva into the leg locks. And he caught people off guard that day. But it's filmed, it's put out the same day. Technique videos and breakdown videos are released the next day. So everyone knows what he just did. So it's not going to work as well anymore. Mm-hmm. But if the media wasn't around and not putting out this content immediately, he'd probably be killed. Well, if it went for COVID, he would carry on pulling that technique off and submitting a lot of people and winning a lot more medals. So
and historically that has happened. If you look at guys like Dean Lister or Marcelo Garcia, I mean, they went and they destroyed all divisions because they had the system and nobody could figure it out until a year or two later, when the next opportunity presents itself. And you bring up a good point. Now some of that doesn't exist. It's right there, right in front of us.
Yeah.
So how are your films going?
I've had a bit of because it was summer in Vancouver. Vancouver is it's amazing in the summer.
That's beautiful.
And right now it's winter. I'm getting back into the videos now because it's winter. It's just raining all the time. So, but in the summer I didn't actually do any editing or any filming because I was just out on the beach, going on nice hikes, enjoying the weather.
Thanks for
but now I'm actually I'm going to release a video tomorrow morning on John Danaher. It's just I just put something together because I was listening to the Lex Friedman podcast, and John Danaher was a guest on there, and he was talking about how jiu-jitsu is an art and a science. And it's really interesting, some of the things he spoke about on the podcast. So I just took select bits of audio and like put it together to some highlight footage, all just different footage that I've collected over the years. So that's one I'm going to put out tomorrow morning, actually. I think people will enjoy watching that one.
Well, definitely.
So, but in terms of like going making videos, I'm actually probably next year I'm going to start traveling again, going back over to the US. I'm going to make some videos of the Rotolo twins, like Dante Leon. I've got a bunch of Roberto Jimenez. I've got a bunch of people in mind I would like to do videos with. COVID just messed everything up for everybody. But over here in Canada, there was no competitions. There was like no filming to be done.
No traveling.
we were pretty locked down over here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys instituted the vaccine cards a long time ago.
Oh my God, stuff, yeah, right? It's weird. It's strange, you know. Yeah. I'm all for it, you know, being safe and stuff, but the vaccine passports, I don't like it.
Well, I could only imagine with what your whole career is based on. You know, it shuts you down completely. You know. Yeah,
it's just strange. Everywhere you go into a restaurant, you have to show your proof of vaccination and ID. Everywhere you go, it's just a little bit weird, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. What did you do during COVID that whole time? How did you fill your space?
Actually, my life didn't really change that much. Where I live here, I'm right next to the sea. So the first lockdown, I actually had a neck injury anyway. I had like a bulging disc in my neck. So I just took the opportunity to build up my YouTube channel. There was I actually hadn't monetized my YouTube channel until last year. Oh, wow. Because over the years, I've just used really popular music. And if you use like a track from, let's say, Arcade Fire, and I put it to a highlight video, I will make zero money from that video. That revenue will go to the artist. Mm-hmm. So what I did over the first lockdown is I basically re-edited a lot of my videos, re-uploaded them and monetized them. And then, and now I'm pulling in some decent revenue on YouTube now.
Good for you.
Then I was going out running every day, walking. There's really Vancouver's beautiful. Like British Columbia, there's lots of nice hikes to go on. So I just kept myself busy. Then we opened up for a few months, maybe 2 or 3 months, and then we locked down again. But I just had a small group of people to train with the whole time. So I was like training every day, editing every day. So my life didn't really change that much. I was fortunate Canada was very strict with the lockdowns, but Vancouver, out of everywhere in Canada, Vancouver was the most lenient, you know. And plus the location, it's not like there's a city, but I'm like living outside of the city, so I'm surrounded by nature. So the city was dead. You couldn't really go outside there. But where I am, you know, right next to the beach, there's nothing stopping me from going for a walk on the beach. Even though the government was telling us, don't go outside, don't go for a walk. Fuck that. I'm going to go outside for a walk.
It was that bad up there. Because, I mean, that's all they told us here was like, you can go outside. Go outside. Everybody was walking. Everybody was out with their dog. Everybody was you couldn't get a bicycle. Like everybody was outside.
Oh yeah, they locked the bike. Like we have like little e-bikes here. They locked those down. You couldn't even get on a bike. They closed the beaches down, but I still went to the beach. So
it seems like, you know, being outside is big component of your life.
Yes, it really is. I can't stay in for too long. Like when I get up in the morning, I do a little bit of editing, and I can only sit there. That's why I've never gone full time, you know, making these videos. I'm just I can only put in like 4 hours of video editing a day. But I have to split that up into 2-hour sections. After 2 hours, I need to go outside and, you know, go for a walk, go for a run.
Is that the main reason why you traveled prior to pandemic, obviously? But you travel quite a bit.
I did, yeah. I think I just wanted to see the world. I come from a really small town. It's a city now, but it's not really a very nice city, called Preston in England. And there's nothing there. I lived there for 20 years of my life, and you've got a cinema, you've got a gym. There's no nice walks around. It's a pretty depressing place, to be honest. So when I was, I think 20, that's when I moved down to London. When I was 25, that's when I took off to Brazil, and I just wanted to see the world. There's a big world out there. I spent a large portion of my life in Preston. I just wanted to get out of there and just see what's out there. You know?
How many different countries have you visited?
I haven't actually counted. I've gone through a few passports now. I actually need to count. I'll have to write it down. There's still many more I want to see. There's a lot of places I haven't been yet.
All right, so let me spin it this way. Which one was the most interesting? Where was the most intriguing place that you've seen?
You know what? Jordan was very intriguing. That was very interesting.
Why?
You know, all like, because you got like the city of Petra there, you know, you've got the Dead Sea, you got all these like ancient ruins, you know, and whoever built them was incredibly advanced, whoever made these structures. And we don't even have the technology today to like, you know, cut these stone slabs in perfect right angles. That was a very interesting place. But my favorite place has got to be Thailand. That's why I lived there since 2012. There's something about that place. I don't know. It's not the same anymore, unfortunately. COVID has really hit that place bad. When I first went out to Brazil, I had this idea in my head that I'm going to want to stay there. I'm going to go to Brazil. I'm going to live there for the rest of my life. But for whatever reason, it just didn't grab a hold of me, Brazil. I was there for like 3 or 4 months. And yeah, I kind of wanted to leave after that time. And then I went back to England for a bit.
Why do you think that happened? Why would that the cohesiveness didn't take place? Many people want to go to Brazil. Many people don't have the opportunity to do it, especially from a jiu-jitsu perspective. You saying that didn't stick. What do you think was the pivot point?
Well, I wasn't driving there. I didn't really have like, what's different about Thailand is you could drive around the island in little scooters. So you have this freedom. You just get on a scooter. You don't need a license or insurance. They don't even like tell you to wear a helmet. You just have this sense of freedom. You just drive anywhere on the island. But when I was in Rio, I just felt a little bit more trapped. And I didn't speak Portuguese. And I don't know, it didn't feel like home to me. I really can't put my finger on what it was. It's actually not cheap over there. It's pretty expensive.
So we hear.
Right. But in Thailand, it's cheap accommodation, cheap food. You just get on a motorbike, just drive anywhere you want. It's awesome, you know. If you get in trouble if you did something wrong, you just pay the police off. You know?
I've heard a little story about that happened to you there.
I don't know.
But I don't. Well, yeah, but I don't know how that story ended because you didn't have all of the money. The last I heard, and somebody told you to just give them whatever you could. And they would let you slide.
Yeah. This is what happens in Thailand. The police are the most corrupt. When you're in Thailand,
hold on, rewind to the beginning. I'm completely behind the curveball here. I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Thomas and I don't always share our info. We like to surprise.
When I was in Thailand, I went to a reggae bar just to pick up some weed. I was planning to have a nice chill night. So I went and picked up 1,000 bahts worth of marijuana, which is probably about $40 or something. On the way back, I picked up some burritos. I'm like, right, I'm going to have a nice chill night, just relax. I'm just daydreaming on my motorbike. And then I look up and I just see these police. Oh, shit, there's a police checkpoint. And I oh, fuck, I got weed in my pocket. So like they'd already seen me. And it's too, I can't I'm trying to put my hand in my pocket, but I can't because that's the accelerator hand. So I'm trying to reach with my left hand. I just can't get it. And I'm slowing down. I'm like, oh, shit, they're 100% going to search me. Because I know what they're like. I've been searched many times, but I never had anything on me. So I start slowing down and just all these ideas start running through my head. I think this is 2014. Maybe it was 2015. I'm not sure. And I didn't know the laws. And I thought, right, if they find it, it might be life in prison. I really don't know. Yeah. So as I'm slowing down, I decided, fuck it. I start speeding up, trying to outrun them. But it didn't go too well for me. They kicked me off my motorbike. I land on the ground. And next thing you know, I've got like 3 or 4 Thai policemen standing over me, like stepping on my back. And they didn't use handcuffs. They used is it like tie wraps?
Yeah.
Tie my hands behind my back. They searched me to find the weed. I'm like sat on the side of the road, like, thinking, oh no, like this is terrible. Like, what's my mum going to say?
Do you even speak the language? How do you communicate with them? So,
yeah, when I was in Thailand, like it's full of like Westerners, like people from America, Canada, Australia, England. So I was never really forced, and all the people that I was teaching there, everyone mostly spoke English, so I was never really forced to learn Thai. I wish it was one of my regrets. A lot of my friends that live in Thailand, they all made the effort to learn Thai, but I never did. So that was one of my regrets.
So you're on the ground, you tied up. Well, I want to hear the end of this story. What's going on?
So after a few hours, they take me to the police station. They put me behind bars, and I'm there with some French guy who was drink driving, a Thai guy that was drink driving, and there's 2 Thai prostitutes in there screaming and yelling. Oh my God. I'm in there for a few hours. I'm like, I need to get out of here. And then this police officer walks past the bars, and he passes an iPad to me. And I look at the iPad, and it says, "I can help you." And I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? It's like Shawshank Redemption is going to break me out. So I write back on Google Translate, "How can you help me?" He goes, "You give me money." I'm like, "Okay, how much?" We're passing it through the bar. He's like, 50,000 baht. I'm like, I was like, whatever. Yeah, great. You got it. 50,000 baht. So they take me out. They take me to the head office of, the main police constable. And he actually speaks English. And he goes, "Right, these 2 police officers are going to go back to your apartment. They're going to go inside. We're going to get your passport, and you're going to come back." So these 2 police officers put me in a car. We drove to my apartment. He came inside, got my passport, went back to the police station. And they said, "Right, you don't get this passport back until you come back with 50,000 baht. And we want it this week." So they let me go. So now I can't leave the country.
What
so
is
I
that?
went and spoke to
How much money is that? How much money?
50,000 baht.
Is that like a couple grand or?
It's a couple grand, yeah, something like that. Yeah, not to mean between that and Thai prison. Yeah, sure, I'll pay that. But I didn't know actually when I went and spoke to my friends. It happened to a bunch of my friends, and like it's not actually that severe of a punishment. Marijuana is now, I think it's legal. Medicinal marijuana is legal in Thailand. You actually have marijuana shops. You just need a prescription in Thailand. So the punishment is not actually that bad. It's just what it should be, a 1,000 baht fine, but because it's so corrupt over there, you don't want to upset the police. They could say you had a lot more. They will put stuff on you. They want your money. Okay, you could have just done nothing wrong. A lot of the time, you go for a roundabout. You've done nothing wrong. You're wearing your helmet. You've got your driver's license. They pull you over. They still want your money. It doesn't matter. So I went back the next day with 5,000 baht because I actually didn't have anything else. And they took the money. They tried to scare me a little bit, but that was that.
And you got your passport back?
Got my passport back, yeah, and that was it.
Nice.
All right, well.
Now I know.
If I want to go to Thailand, that just changed.
I know exactly how much money I need and exactly what to do.
Yeah,
and what to keep to keep my stuff in my other pocket if I need to reach in while I'm riding, so I don't have to reach across.
Gary's making notes. There you go. There you go. Listen, but you travel quite a bit around the world. You mentioned couple places that you've been to. Where did jiu-jitsu stood out to you the most? From a technique, from a adaptation, from evolution. Just which place did you find the most jiu-jitsu like?
So in Brazil, the jiu-jitsu was great in Brazil, but there was a big language barrier. A lot of the time when they were teaching in Portuguese, so I was just like watching, but I couldn't really hear the details. I had a good professor when I was in Thailand. When I first went out there was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt called Fernando Macaxeiro. He was a 4th degree black belt. He was a real book of knowledge. I learned so much from him. And Thailand was actually really, at first it wasn't great for jiu-jitsu, but as Tiger Muay Thai grew and the MMA team grew, every week we'd have different athletes coming through. We had a lot of jiu-jitsu people passing through Tiger Muay Thai. So I was picking up bits of knowledge from different people every week. So even though Thailand's not known for its jiu-jitsu, a lot of people pass through there. When I was going around US, I had a great time. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Cyborg Abreu right now, but years ago I was training with him in Miami. I was there for a month. And I learned so much when I was there because I was there with Cyborg, Rodolfo Vieira, Braulio Estima, João Gabriel Rocha. It's amazing how much, that's one thing, the films, like the traveling and making these films, it made my jiu-jitsu better because I got to train with the best people in the world and got to see what the best guys are doing over the years.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, does understanding jiu-jitsu allow you to have this upper hand with making your work, making your films? Does the comprehension of what is happening, does it help?
Yeah, it definitely does now, especially like just listening to like the video I told you about before. I was listening to the John Danaher podcast with Lex Friedman, and if I'd listened to that podcast, like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I probably wouldn't have picked up on some of the things or related to some of the things he's saying. But now, because I've been doing it so long, I was really listening to him, just able to pick out these different points. I think people could really learn from, what he says in this particular section here.
Do you think listening and watching the entertainment part, because essentially that's what it is, even what we're doing right now is nothing but entertainment, right, on a specific topic to specific, targeted to a specific group of people. But do you think these forms of media, entertainment, are they really helping us with jiu-jitsu, with actually learning the art?
I think one of my favorite ways to learn is actually watching matches, not just instructionals, but like matches as well. So I'll just watch. I'm not really a fan of his social media that much. I know it's just for entertainment, but Gordon Ryan, I love watching his matches, and I'll like stop, like rewind, watch it again, and just watch these little things that he's doing, these tiny little details. Stunning. So I think like watching, being able to like Flow Grappling and put these Who's Number One events are great. Actually all these, like Grapple Fest was on last weekend. I was watching some sequences between Oliver Tarza and Dante Leon. I was like able to like just replay like some little like scrambles, because you have to, like, some of these guys move so fast. I'm like, what just happened then? You have to really watch it frame by frame, and then I'll go to the gym and try it. So I learn from watching, being able to watch these events. Yeah,
and I mean, they could be going really fast or they could be going really slow, right? There's like two opposite sides of the spectrum, right? We're talking about these quote-unquote scrambles where we think, or average person not knowing jiu-jitsu would think they are just rolling in random direction, but there's all mechanics behind all of this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, yeah. And just like a 5-second sequence, there could be like 3 sweep attempts, or maybe he got the sweep and then he counters with his other sweep, and there's a lot going on. It's amazing how fast they tie the positions together, these high-level guys.
Do you think this is one of the main reasons why people find jiu-jitsu not entertaining? And I'm talking about the people who don't know jiu-jitsu, right? Because there was a lot going on under the hood. Like I hear these comments often for individuals who have no clue about jiu-jitsu, right? Or just starting it, and they'll watch either ADCC or maybe Worlds or whatever the case might be. It's like there's nothing going on over there. These two guys are just hugging each other, essentially. There's very common comment that is being made by individuals. But there's so much going on under the hood.
I can see like why people think the gi. Even I think I can't really watch the gi jiu-jitsu anymore. I really love the no gi stuff because it's faster. I do like watching the gi sometimes, but it's not very. I can't see like the IBJJF World Championships becoming, going on, mainstream TV. But the no gi stuff, I feel like I know a few people, like a few other students, like parents, have been watching it, and they don't really know what's going on, but they actually find it entertaining. But it definitely helps. If you understand you've been doing jiu-jitsu, it definitely, I think it's important.
I was going to ask, excuse me, what you just said though. If you understand jiu-jitsu, so lower ranks, should they be investing that time and watching those scrambles, picking that stuff apart, or should they put that stuff aside? Don't get sucked in yet, and just really concentrate on the basics. And those aspects rather than looking at that advanced stuff.
Yeah, because you do. That's the like a lot of people that just start jiu-jitsu, they watch some of these high level matches. And I want to do that. I want to learn that move. Like some like crazy spin into a leg.
It's like a daily occurrence.
It's like,
can you tell me what's going on here on the Instagram?
Well, I found myself doing it, and and I gotta say, I have to say to myself, stop, this is nonsense. You're wasting your time.
That's what I do as well.
Put it away. Don't, and think about what happened the last time you were on the mat and focus on that instead of watching this other stuff. So I don't know what advice you would give those lower ranks as to where they should be spending their time, because all this stuff is available to them.
Yeah, I put some things in order. I got all the Danaher DVDs years ago when they came out, the back control, and then leg lock one. But I really wanted to learn the leg locks, but I thought, no, I'm not there yet. Like, let's concentrate on the back control. Let's add to add to my basics, and then we'll like go on to the leg lock stuff. So it's like putting things in order. What's most.
So you're saying essentially that there is a sequence to all of this. There should be a thought put behind all of this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with watching. I think it's still good for like the lower level people to, watch the high level matches and break them down, but definitely stick to the basics, because you're not going to be able to pull off that reverse De La Riva into the saddle until you know all the other basics. You've got your foundations there.
Yeah. Good advice.
You have opportunity to teach these days, right?
Yeah. I've been teaching for quite a while now. In 2016, I went out to Singapore and started teaching full time at Evolve MMA. So I spent a year there teaching, and that was like, I taught a little bit before, but it was more part time here and there. But now I think I was like a couple of years into my black belt, and I was teaching 8 classes a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
It was insane. That's why I didn't last longer than a year. I couldn't wait to get out of that place. It came at the right time, but it really allowed me to, because when I first started teaching there, I'm like, right, how do I do this sweep? Like a lot of my jiu-jitsu just I just did it. I couldn't actually break down a lot of it. So over that year, I really started to try and find, I'm still like, even now, I'm always like evolving the way I'm teaching, and I'm I really get inspired by listening to the way Lachlan Giles and Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan, John Tanner break down how they teach. Also, I was really recently in Mendocino, California, with Nick Gregoriades, and I really like the way he teaches. He really breaks it down. Like what I realized when I was in Mendocino, I show too much at once, and what's simple to me is not like I'll show like a whole sequence, and then people like only remember the first bit of it. But Nick, he really breaks it down little bit by little bit until you all piece it together. So that's something I took away from Nick when I was in California recently.
So there's some madness behind teaching, essentially what you're saying.
Yes, yeah. After I was in Singapore for a year, and then I went back to Tiger Muay Thai, became the head jiu-jitsu coach there for a couple of years. And then now I have my own jiu-jitsu team here in Vancouver.
Yeah,
so I've been here for 2 years now, and it's going awesome. When I first got here, like we were in quite a small gym, and there was only like maybe 15 to 20 students, and it was in quite a bad area of Vancouver. But when I first went out there, it was at Ryan Diaz. It's called Diaz Combat Sports. He showed me the plans for this new world-class facility. He's like, look, if you move out here, if you relocate to Vancouver, you're going to have your own Stuart Cooper Jiu-Jitsu inside of my gym, but you're going to have like one half of the floor. And it's going to be, he showed me the plans like of like the bathrooms, the sauna, like the gym downstairs, the kickboxing in the middle floor, boxing, jiu-jitsu on the top floor. I was like, right, if you're building this thing, I'm in. And then, so I relocated to Vancouver, and the gym it's incredible. It's one of the nicest gyms in the world. I've been quite lucky to be able to teach at Evolve MMA in Singapore, and that's a very impressive facility. They have 4 locations there, and it's spotless. Tiger Muay Thai, definitely one of the biggest gyms in the world. And then now I'm at Diaz Combat Sports, which is right up there as well. And we're actually building another gym across the road now. That's going to be a yoga facility. And then we're going to build another one quite close to where I live, actually. But that's going to be in a couple of years. So we're really expanding.
A lot of plans for you.
What?
Yes, yeah.
Are you quitting films for jiu-jitsu?
No, but it's definitely, it has definitely, because right now I'm like, I wish I could compete more over the last 2 years. I'm just unable to, but I'm definitely going to go back into more films later on. But right now I'm like 36, and I feel like I've been working on my jiu-jitsu a long time, and I feel like I'm kind of peaking on my jiu-jitsu. So I really want to compete and kind of show everyone what I've been working on.
Good for you. So,
and then I'll get back into more of the video, but I've been a little bit distracted with teaching and training recently, because I'll go to teach at midday, and then I'll train with everybody. And I have like a 5-hour gap. But after teaching and training, I'm just brain dead. I actually get the computer at the laptop, and I'm right, I'm going to do some editing. I just kind of stare at the screen and fall asleep. And then I teach again in the evening. So I'm trying to change my schedule around and have like Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, like for video editing and filming. So I'm trying to get a balance. It's quite difficult.
Is teaching draining mentally?
Not if you're doing 2 classes a day. When I was in Singapore at Evolve MMA, yes. Oh my God, I started to hate jiu-jitsu. I was teaching that many classes.
And the reason why I asked is because a lot of students. I know you wanted to ask a question, but I'm kind of
go ahead.
a lot of students dream about teaching. They want to be an instructor. They want to be on the other side of the mat.
Yeah.
But they often don't realize how much work it is. You know, like being on the mat and teaching something that you love is still work, especially if you go 8 classes a day, 6 days a week. I mean, that's where my question comes from. Like, have you felt at that point drained, like just brainwashed mentally, where you just wanted to disconnect? Have you ever felt at that point? Been in that point?
Only in Singapore, to be honest. That's where it was just too much. You know, it's everyone I've ever told that they didn't believe it. Like, what, 8 classes a day? I mean, that's pretty much unheard of. That's actually an exploitation of workforce, in my opinion. That's why no black belts last at Evolve MMA. But when I went back to Tiger Muay Thai, it was just 2 classes a day. 2 classes back to back. I would teach 8:30 to 11:30, Monday to Friday. So my day would finish at 11:30, 12 midday every day, and have the rest of the day free. But I think having your own gym, that's when it can be, that's what I think people are not prepared for. They have this dream that I want to be an instructor, have my own gym, but they're not thinking about all the sign-ups, like the memberships, the marketing, you know, the accounts. But fortunately for me, that's where I'm not good. You know, I'm good at like teaching, training, and like making videos. When it comes to the business side of things and accounts and all that stuff, like I'm very like, that's why, it's great where I am now, because at Diaz Combat Sports, I don't do any of that stuff. It's all taken care of.
Well, in these situations, I
don't even know how much the membership is.
Well, and that's where good partnerships come in, right? To take the strong attributes that we have and match them up with somebody else who have others, and we create this very strong team benefiting everybody who's involved, right? Gary, you wanted to spin something on.
Well, yeah, talking about teaching on the flip side of that, you've taught all over the world. What differences in students do you see all over the world? Are there big differences in, say, in Singapore, in Thailand, here, Canada?
Well, in Thailand, it was very touristy, so I didn't really have a set group of students. People would come and go. You know, because they're just there for a short period of time on holiday. So I really never got to see people's progression. In Singapore, it was amazing how many, when I first started jiu-jitsu in England, there was like no females doing jiu-jitsu, like none. It was just like, it was very dominated by males. It was like a male sport almost. But in Singapore, like sometimes my class was just filled with women and like just a couple of guys. And they love the gi over there in Singapore. It's not really like, they're not too heavy on the no-gi, but they love the gi. And here in Vancouver, it's pretty mixed. We got a really good group of women, but I'm mainly no-gi over here. They don't seem to, most of the students don't really seem too keen on the gi. Some of them do, but yeah, it seems I only teach 1 gi class a week now. It's literally 98% no-gi at DCS right now.
Let me spin in this direction. I'm going to ask you a controversial question. Do you think the gi is going away?
I think it is, yeah. I actually do. I think it's always going to be around, and I think it's good to stay with the gi. But the two it's just the way it is. They're moving further and further apart. I think no-gi is it already is more popular, and it's going to be a lot more popular, but the gi will always be around. But
which one is harder?
Yeah. Sorry?
Which one is harder? Which one's more difficult?
I think that's different. I think it all depends what you prefer, to be honest. For me, gi is more difficult. I love the no-gi. I love like being able to move faster. What I don't like about the gi is only because I don't know the worm guard system, a lot of the lapel guards. So I'll roll with a black belt in the gi and really struggle if he knows worm guard and all the lapel grips and stuff. Take that same black belt in no gi, and it's completely different. You know, so.
Well, yeah, but that's completely understandable. You're changing the tools, right? You're changing rules of engagement. You're changing the platform. There is a factor of sweating, slippery, no gripping. Yep. With gi, you have all these entanglements. You can wrap somebody around 3 times with their lapels, and so the rules of engagement change. And once a person establishes certain expertise in one or the other, they naturally become more versatile.
Yeah. And then people used to say the gi is more technical, but I don't know about that. The way no gi has evolved, Because in the gi, it's not as leg lock heavy. You know, there's a lot of positions that are illegal that you're not allowed to do. Whereas no gi, a lot of it's like the submission only events. You can do anything. So I find you're a lot more free, you know, to engage in certain positions. Whereas you're a little bit limited. You have to be really careful in gi competitions, especially IBJJF. Like, just grab the gi the wrong way or go. I think even like the way you do reverse del Hiva now, you're not allowed to bring your hand around the shin. You have to hold the back of the ankle, little things like that. This is a little bit more limited.
Yeah, I guess it all boils down to the rules of engagement. Like that's literally literally what it is, right? But same thing, you go to a no-gi competition and you go to ADCC. I mean, rules are very different, right? It's just you know. So it kind of all boils down to, why are you laughing at me?
Because I'm just a strictly old gi guy. I don't do any no-gi.
You are old.
I am old.
You're
too,
old.
yes.
Period. Forget about the gi part. You old. Period.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start appreciating the gi a lot more now. Like as I get older, because I'm only 36, but already I'm feeling the wear and tear on my knees, my elbows. My elbows are on fire after every training session now. So I think,
my friend,
as I get older, I'm gonna like slowing people down with the gi, you know.
Wait when you get to 40 or 50. Like
Yeah.
this guy.
What's
You're
up,
going to be
50s,
falling
man?
apart.
50 is weird.
To Nick Gregoriades in Mendocino. I was telling him about like how everything started to hurt, and he looked at me and goes, "Stu, I don't want to scare you. I'm 42 now. It just gets worse." Oh, no, I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, everything's harder. Getting in shape is harder. Losing weight is harder. And it's funny.
Yeah.
You think it's like, oh, I could just do what I did before, like to get back in the groove or whatever. And it's like, no, everything takes longer. You got to really think about what you're doing. Because if you jump right back in, you're hurt again. You know, you're right back out.
Yeah.
So
I have to take days off and evenings off now. Like just yesterday, usually roll twice a day, every day. But last night, my left knee just started to ache for whatever reason. So I just took the evening off, got the day off today. But I have to do never used to do any of this. Never did physio, never did massages, never stretched. Now it's necessary. Every week I do one massage, one physio, and one acupuncture. And I have to stretch every day just to maintain. If I don't do these things, my body, like I get up in the morning, I'm stiff. I just don't move the same. So.
We'll talk to you in about 4 years once you cross the big 4-0. No, but it's so interesting, I think, even from that perspective, right? One, the sport evolves. Two, we get better at it. But three, our bodies, you know, I wouldn't say decompose, but there is a wear and tear, right? No matter how careful you are, no matter what you do, it is a physical contact sport, and there is a wear and tear, especially after 10, 15, 20 years doing this consistently for 5-6 days a week. There is an impact, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can definitely slow that down by just having good training partners and just making sure you tap on time. Don't let your ego get the better of you. It's easy to say that, but we're all guilty of it, Just preventing injuries. Yeah, I think having good training partners that you trust is very important. You don't want to be a smaller guy rolling with big guys all the time that just smash you every day.
Do you find tapping difficult?
No, I don't. I mean, I definitely don't like it, but it's good. I mean, if you're not getting tapped in training, you're not training with the right people. Right. But no, it's actually a good thing because then I realize, oh fuck, I made a mistake there. But no, it's never bothered me too much actually. But you really see when people get tapped, you can see their reaction, how much it bothers them.
Yeah, I was watching somebody today. I won't mention names, but I was like, man, just tap already, man. Just give it up already, man. And then when they finally did, it's just like, man,
it's strange to me. I'll have some people I train with, I'll have them in some deep arm bars and heel hooks, and I'm in a position where I could really hurt you, but I don't. I'm not that kind of person. I just think, why are you not tapping? It's training. No one's watching. It doesn't care. No one's going to remember this.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an embarrassment point, meaning they don't want to tap because they don't want to lose? Or is it that they actually have a perception of, I can get out of this?
No, these positions they're not getting out of. It's just an ego. They just don't want to lose at this point,
It's always interesting. It's always interesting to especially see the facial
The expression.
The expression, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, right? When the wheels are spinning, the hamster is going overtime over there, but they still won't tap. Like it's such a unique action of tapping and stopping. Who was this that told us tapping is not stopping, tapping is try it again? I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah,
tap is trying again. Yeah,
and I can learn now. I can learn, from that experience. So I I'll go a little long when I'm being choked sometimes, because I'm not. Yeah, I know it's the wrong way to think of it, but I'm not afraid of something snapping or tearing. But
Gary, you go longer because you go
I'm
out
asleep.
and
I don't
you
know.
come back up later. That's what happens.
Who turned the music off? But when I see other people and I see like something in super tight, or when they are playing with the legs, it's like, oh my God, just, I want you to come back tomorrow. What are you doing? You know? It's rough. It's rough. I don't know why people won't
competition is different. If there's money on the line, it's a big world champion. You're in ADCC, that's different. But in training, it's like, just tap. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Oh, for some it does.
Some it does, yeah.
If they take anything away from today, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
just go
matter.
ahead and tap.
Listen, before we wrap this up, we typically do at the end of the episode, we do 5 questions, kind of rapid questions, if you will. Gary's going to take a lead on this, but just shoot first thing that comes to your mind. Some of them are funny, some of them are not, but it always generates an interesting end to the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So we do have the 5. One is from a listener, and James, like I said, if you're still listening, you'll hear your question. But you talked a little bit about this very briefly, but what was it like the first time you stepped on the mat? I know you got that sweep in and then you got smashed, but what were you feeling towards the end of the class, after?
When I first stepped on the mat, just, fear, a lot of anxiety, I was very uncomfortable. But afterwards, I just felt, I felt like proud that I actually made myself do it, I actually showed up, and I did it. But my first few times training jiu-jitsu, every day showing up, I was scared,
Do you think stepping on a mat for the very first time is scary to most?
Yeah, I think it is. Well, maybe not to everybody, but for me it was. Yeah, actually, for the first couple of years, once I got used to my training partners and I started to know everybody. But when I would go somewhere new, when I was a blue belt, I'd go to a different gym, go into that place for the first time, I'd still get those nerves, that anxiety.
Yeah, I remember when I first started just driving over. My heart would start going. I'd get a little nervous.
Yeah, same,
Yeah, but then after, you find you seek your level. You realize where you're at. You find your training partners and stuff, and all that stuff goes away. So if anybody's still feeling like that, don't ride it out. It'll go away. It'll go away.
Yep. It goes away eventually. Yeah, after a few years.
So just stick it out for a few years. This is from James that we were talking about. Or I think he goes by Jim. What was the most challenging obstacle you've had to overcome?
Without doubt, years ago, I actually got hooked on opiates and benzodiazepams. I was hooked on diazepam and tramadol. So getting off those drugs, it took me a year to withdraw. It was the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. It was absolutely brutal, and I wish that on nobody. So getting through that, is definitely the biggest obstacle I've had to overcome for sure.
Well, it's great that you did it, and we're happy that you're here with us now. Through all of that, or even before or after, have you ever wanted to quit jiu-jitsu?
No, never. So
even that rough year, you were still...
Jiu-jitsu is what kept me going through that rough year. When I was going through withdrawal, I'm in the middle of drug withdrawal. I'm going for walks in the daytime, and in the evening I was showing up to jiu-jitsu. I didn't want to go, but I found that when I showed up and when I was rolling, the withdrawals would go away. I was in the moment. So that's going for keeping myself busy with long walks, listening to good music, and doing things like jiu-jitsu where you're very in the moment and you can get into that flow state. That helped me. in a big way, getting over the drug withdrawal. Because you also, the brain, you're releasing endorphins as well. So it would give me after training, it would give me a couple hours of relief. But then after a few hours, the withdrawal symptoms would kick back in again.
That's rough. That's rough.
So,
yeah. Describe your feelings when you received your black belt.
Yeah, just obviously I was extremely happy, but also pressure. A lot of pressure to get better, to represent that belt. So actually, it gave me even more. It put more fire in me. It's like, right, I really want to represent this belt. I want to be a good black belt. You know, I just don't want to be. I want to be a black belt that's like getting tapped by a purple belt. I want to be like, you know, It's almost like it was the beginning. You know, but yeah, it was a huge achievement for me.
Did you know what was coming?
No, I didn't actually know. I was surprised.
You were surprised?
Yeah.
What walk me through your thoughts when your name gets called?
It was just me that day, actually. It was in the middle of a class. I think it was October 2015. Yeah, my professor just called me up, and I actually didn't know what was going on at first. But yeah, just complete shock, you know. It was a big shock.
You just said a second ago you wanted to be a good black belt. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What is a good black belt?
I suppose what I mean is be the best that I can be, you know, like really reach my potential, like just keep learning. I think sometimes people get their black belt and they think, oh, right, you know, but they can stay at that level. But I wanted to like keep on learning, keep progressing.
Continue evolving.
All right.
Continue evolving, yeah.
Yeah, I think we do a little takeaway after these on certain topics that we find, and I think that evolution thing keeps coming up today.
Yep.
You know, for sure. Whether you're talking about training or just now. Getting back to that belt, do you wash your belt?
You know what? For years, I didn't. Like, I had this. I think a lot of people have, you don't wash your black belt. Like, it has, like, mystical powers. But after getting staph infection after staph infection, I was actually reading online, like, tips to avoid, like, getting staph. And one of the things was a lot of people don't wash their belt because they think that, you know, you're not supposed to. But that thing carries a lot of fucking bacteria, so wash it. So I just started washing my belt after that.
Beautiful. I love that answer. We have a lot of people here that argue with us, but I'm on your side. Wash it.
It's more hygienic. And you're not going to lose any special powers.
No.
Stuart, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us for last hour and really sharing some of those, well, good, entertaining, and some of them really raw stories from your life. You know, as I said in the beginning, I've been following you for a long time, and I wish you the best. I'll continue to be a big fan of yours. We'll post a link to the new video you are releasing in the notes of this, so everybody go and check this out as it's being released very soon around this episode. And then, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Stuart Cooper Films. I've got a Facebook page. I need to get more active on that. Yeah, and if anyone's passing through Vancouver, you know, Canada, and they want to train, come to Diaz Combat Sports in Vancouver. We're in Chinatown. And yeah, we have jiu-jitsu classes on, like in the daytime, in the evening. Yeah, we've got MMA classes. We're going to have judo classes soon. We're getting a gi program soon as well. Right now it's no gi, but we're bringing the gi back.
Nice.
Are you teaching that?
Now I'm going to be there.
No, actually, my friend Christoph Van Dijk, who I was telling you about before, he's a former judo Olympian. He's relocating to Vancouver, and he's going to be taking over the gi program.
Very nice.
So he'll be teaching like judo and jiu-jitsu in the gi.
Beautiful. I love it. Judo and jiu-jitsu. I love that.
That's awesome. And we were talking about Vancouver. I've been there. It's amazing. I highly recommend anybody, once they can, get up there, check it out. I mean, I fell in love with the place. I was there for only a week, and it's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
So definitely
just make sure you come in the summer.
Yes, yes, for sure.
In the winter, there's rain, but in the summer, honestly, I've been all around the world. Vancouver in the summer is my favorite place. It's awesome. It's so nice here.
There you go. There you go.
You.
We'll hit up the tourism bureau for this episode as
well. Stuart, if Gary comes and visits you, just make sure you treat him right, like smash him extra hard.
Yeah, right. Treat me right.
All right, Stuart. Let's wrap this up for today. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for your time, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Whoa. We are not done. We have a fabulous Fuji gi to give away. So let me get to the random number generator. And here we go. And that number is 5. So now I'm going to go over to our list of people who asked questions to our guests. And number 5 is James. James, you are the lucky winner of a Fuji gi. All you have to do to claim your prize is respond to my email within 72 hours. Provide us with the information we request, and that gi is on its way to you. So, James, keep an eye out. Look in your spam. Look in your junk. Make sure to look for that email, and that fabulous Fuji gi is on its way. Take care.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.